All right, what is up, everybody? Beyond the Game podcast started a little bit late today. My name is Eric Michael. I've sold over $5 million in sports cards. I've built a multiple seven-figure coaching program teaching people how to do it. Sports cards has changed my life, and my passion in life is to help people achieve financial freedom, alleviate financial stress, and I do that by helping people make money buying and selling sports cards. So here we are. Got a bunch of stuff to talk about here today. A lot going on. A lot of questions. Card show, Fanatics Fest. I came out with a new strategy, or not me. My coaches and I came out with a new strategy to make money with vintage cards, and it's actually kind of interesting. So I'll go into that in a second. Um, but I'm actually gonna start this off with a Q&A. I got a bunch of questions, so I'm just gonna bang through them. So Marcus asked me, I recently pulled a Optic Black Disco 101 auto of Marcus Sasser for the Pistons. If it was yours, how much would you sell it for? So here, this is going to be a rough estimate, Marcus, but let me see here. Marcus Sasser. I'm just going to look this up. I'll give you, this is rough, so don't quote me here, but if it was me, I'd be looking to sell it for right around, actually his card's still not bad. $600 to $800 in that range. That's probably what it's worth. It's tough. Card like that, honestly, actually, then it's sensational signatures. Yeah, it could be 5, 6, 700. It depends with cards like that, right? All it takes is one buyer. So it's like that card can sell for 900. It can sell for 400, right? It's like all you need is one real collector of him, and then that's it. So like anywhere in that 6, 7, $800 range. Hopefully that helps out, Marcus. Greg says, this is a long question, Greg, but I'm going to answer it. I am interested in knowing more about the sports card business. I have a ton of cards in storage, mostly baseball. I was wondering the best way to get the most amount of money out of them. I currently have an eBay business where I sell mostly vinyl records and CDs, but have so many cards that I was going to start to add them to my store. I've seen many listed online, but the ones that make the most are the ones that are graded, probably graded to 10. I was wondering if I should make the investment or not. I don't know what I really have and if it should be worth the risk of sending them in for to get graded. I don't want to send them in if they won't sell. Okay. That was a lot, Greg. All right. So the cards you have in storage, I'm assuming they're cards from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So most of them are worthless. Sorry to break it to you, but most of them are probably not worth much. That's the first thing. The second thing, now you will have some that might be worth something. If I was in your shoes, I'd be looking for cards of stars of guys who you've heard of that are in really good condition, or 90s basketball. 90s basketball is stuff that could sell for large amounts of money, like any of these guys, like Michael Jordan or Tracy McGrady or Dirk Nowitzki, any of those guys. So that's what I'd be looking for. But to be honest with you, 95% of the cards you have are probably worthless. Now, when it comes to grading, so you said, I was wondering if I should make the investment or not. I'm assuming you mean the investment into grading. So what I tell people when they have old cards to get graded, this is my rule of thumb for grading. Okay. When you buy a card, at the end of the day, after fees, after eBay, shipping, everything, you want to at least double your money. Okay. So for example, if you buy a card for $100, you want it to probably sell for like 260, 250, 260 as a PSA 10, because you might have some shipping fees, grading fees, and at the end of the day, you'll end up netting 200. So since these are cards you already have, the question I would be asking myself is, okay, I'm going to send these in for grading. The lowest level service to get a card graded is about $20 at the moment while I'm speaking. So it's $20. Ask yourself, if this card grades, I'd only send in cards that you think are in good condition, and chances are they probably won't 10. So I'd assume it gets a 9. Ask yourself, if this card grades a 9, can I at least sell it for $40, right? Because that's you doubling your money, because it's going to cost you about $20 to get the card graded. So can I sell this card for at least $40? And that's what I'm going to net at the end of the day. If you could, it's probably worth it to send it in. And the way you would know that is if you just go on eBay and on the bottom left, if you type in the card and you just go on the bottom left and you go to completed or sold items, it'll tell you what the card sells for. So that's what I would do. Hopefully that helps you out, Greg. I mean, or you could send them to me as well. You could just send me pictures on DM, Instagram, wherever, and I'm more than happy to answer them. So hopefully that makes sense, Greg. And then another Greg, I don't know if this is the same Greg or not. This is man. I think this is the same Greg because you're asking really in depth questions here. How would you make $100,000 from sports card investing in 1 year? What would you buy? How much capital would you need to start? Can you give someone a hypothetical step by step process that could theoretically net someone $100,000 in a year? All right, that's intense. So there's two ways to make money when it comes to sports cards: grading cards, right? You're flipping them, you're grading them, and holding for a few months. I call this process short term investing, which all that means is you're buying stuff like you're buying stuff at its low point, holding it for a few months, and selling it at its high point. So I've seen when it comes to grading cards, so like when it comes to grading cards, you're probably gonna cap out at like 5 to 6, maybe $7,000 a month in profit. That's probably the most you'll be able to make just because there's only so many cards out there you could find, and it's really a grind. So like, you could easily, once you understand the process, you could easily make 50, $60,000 a year from grading. The way you're going to make the other $50,000 is actually by doing this thing I call short term investing. So like, let me show you. So like, okay, like let's take this card of Victor Wembanyama. This card I bought at the National Card Show for $9,000. The reason I bought this card is because Victor Wembanyama, it's a whole thing, but like based on a bunch of data, he's low right now, he's flatlined, and it's only going to go up from there. So I'm going to hold this card. I might even sell it in a few weeks, a month, 2 months, but I'm going to hold this card and hopefully sell it for like 11, 12, $13,000 in that range. I bought the card already graded. I bought it at its low point. I got a good deal. I'm holding it for a few months, and I'm going to sell it and hopefully make money. Might break even, might make a lot of money. It kind of depends. So, like, about $50,000 in profit will be from grading. And when you're grading cards, you want to be buying cards that are usually in the $100 to $200 range. If you do the math, if you're buying, oh man, this is a whole math equation now, but like, if you buy 2 cards a day, that's 10 cards a week. That's 40 cards a month. If the average card you buy is $100, the average profit will probably be $100. And let's say 50% of them graded 10, so you're buying 10 a week. So you're making 1,000 a week if they all graded 10, but not all of them are going to grade a 10. So in order to make 1,000 a week from grading cards, a rough estimate, if you're buying cards around the $100 to $200 range, you want to be buying about 20 cards a week. And if your average profit's $100 per card that grades a 10, assume half of them will grade a 10, half of them won't. Once again, you have to understand like how to actually like grade cards and what goes into it and all that stuff. So if you wanted a hypothetical step-by-step process, buy 20 cards a week, all averaging around $100. How much money you'll need if the average card you're buying is $100? You'll need probably you'll need at least 30, 40 grand to make it work. And you should be able to make about 50 to 60 grand just from that. And then you'll need a bankroll of about, let's see, there's 3 seasons, right? There's baseball, football, basketball. If you invest, yeah, you'll need like another like 30 grand for that. So you'll need about 60 to 70 grand total, about 30 to 40 grand to start buying cards to grade, another 30, 40 grand to buy cards like that Wembanyama. You don't need to buy cards that expensive and holding them for a few months. That's a rough estimate of how to make $100,000 a year from sports cards. It can't all be done through grading. It could, but it's not that easy. So hopefully that answers your question, Greg. Good question. I like it. Let's see. John says, if you give your cards to PSA for grading, what tells you it will be an original card that is returned to you to get graded? Well, PSA is not in the business of scamming anyone. So if that helps. And then usually when you send in a card, a lot of them have serial numbers, right? It'll be like numbered like 3 out of 99 or 5 out of 150. So like that's an obvious way. And also every card looks slightly different. So like you could see by the centering, the corners, they all look slightly different. And then any card that has an autograph, obviously, every autograph is slightly different. So just look, like, this is the card I sent in. Does the autograph match? Okay. And I've seen PSA screw up before. So, good question, but yeah, that's how every card looks slightly different. Especially like with vintage, you could see like, the centering on it, the coloring, they all look slightly different. So you just have to take a picture of your card beforehand. Um, Trading Olympia said, "What's more lucrative, grading vinyl or sports cards? Well, I've never. When you say vinyl, you're talking about like records. Is that what you're talking about? Trading Olympia? Um, to me, I mean, I don't know. I've never done that. Grading sports cards is very lucrative and has done me very well in life. So, um, I'm probably gonna say sports cards, but I've never graded vinyl. I've never graded comic books. I know grading coins, you could make good money. But the problem, so like I'll tell you, trading Olympia, the problem and the difference with like grading vinyl or anything vintage is a limited supply, right? This is why sports cards is such an amazing business because there's a limited supply of how many cards or how many vinyl things you could find. Like, right, like good luck finding like vintage vinyl records. It's not so easy. However, sports cards, there's new original records or new original cards coming out every single year, right? Because there's rookies every single year. That's what makes it special, right? There's original things coming out every single year, right? There's no original 1960 whatever, you know, Abbey Road albums coming out, right? It came out once and that's it. So that's what makes sports cards special. Like a lot of the cards you see behind me right now are new cards and they're original. Like they're original and they're very desired, but they're 2023 and these things come out every single year. Most rookies don't appreciate and go to anything, but that's what makes sports cards special. There's new original ones that come out every single year and they're very desired and people want them. Right? Imagine like there was a new Abbey Road record every single year. I'm just making something up, but that's so probably grading vinyl if you find something good, but good luck finding something good to grade. Sports cards, something very predictable. They could actually turn into a business and make 3, 4, 5, 6 grand a month or whatever you want. So that's the fundamental difference. Like sports cards can be a predictable, sustainable business, which I'm assuming a lot of you guys on here are watching this because like you want time freedom, financial freedom, whatever, and that's not going to come from like once in a while finding records on Craigslist to grade, right? That's going to come from like something that's gonna a skill you're gonna develop that's gonna make you a consistent income every single month. That might pay for the mortgage, save up for the kids' college tuition, whatever. So that's my answer to that. Hopefully that makes sense. Trading Olympia. Um, Top Money says, "What is the hottest player to buy right now in sports? The hottest? I'm not saying it's the best purchase, but the hottest would probably be CJ Stroud. There's a bunch that are like very hot, but CJ Stroud probably. Trading Olympia. How I'm in the UK. How can I make money effectively? By buying and selling sports cards. You could do it in the UK. You could do it in USA, Australia. It's huge in the Philippines. If you have any questions, just shoot me a message on Instagram. Mikey says, "Will you talk about submitting the PSA? We have to guess the value of the card, and their fee is based on that. How many do you send in at a time? So I buy higher end cards, so I only send in a few at a time. I don't send in a lot of cards at a time, me personally. If you're buying cards every single day and you're buying lower end cards, send it as many as you want. It doesn't matter. Um, Now I know what you're saying. So PSA, right? They have different service levels based on like if you send in a card that's over $500, they're gonna charge you X amount. If you charge like so like the higher end the card, the more they're gonna charge you. But just be very conservative and lowball it because okay, if PSA screws up and they lower they honor your value, you got the card graded for cheaper, probably not gonna happen. So just lowball it. That's what I do. Like even if I send in a $500 card, I put like the value is 150 or 200. So not saying to do that. I'm just telling you that's what I do. Tom says, "What is the best kind of cards to invest in when starting? Do different colors, brand matter?" Yes, it does. Okay. So if you're starting, I think buying and selling sports cards is the greatest business to start with. If you're looking for something that actually works that can make a few grand a month. Um, Sorry to cut you off from your question, Tom, but Aiden says, "How can I convince my mom that I can actually make money?" All right, let me get to that. Aiden, I'm going to get to your question in 1 second about your mom. I got something to tell your mom. You could show her this. But Tom, to answer your question, how to get started making money buying and selling sports cards. Um, so don't use the word invest. Okay, when you use the word invest, it sounds like you're dumping money and you're just hoping it goes up in value. Use the word like flip. Right, you're gonna be flipping these cards. The best way to get started in sports cards, I have like a million videos on YouTube about this, is buying cards raw. Prism is probably the best bang for your buck. Prism's a type of card. Because you asked me brand, that's what you mean by brand. So Prism, buying cards for around $100, $200, getting them graded, flipping them for 300, $400. That's the best way to get started. So you actually make predictable money. Like, Tom, I could tell you, go buy a Mickey Mantle rookie. That'll go up in value. Yeah, it'll go up 10, 20% this year probably. But like, you're not in this business to put $10,000 into something and make $1,000 in a year, right? You actually want to make sustainable, predictable money. So the colors and brands do matter. The best colors are like the original bold colors. So these are like, when I say bold colors, I mean like orange, blue, um, gold. Those are like the top three types of colors. And that the reason for that is because those were like the original colors when there weren't as many colors around, when like cards were just becoming to get good in like 2010, 2011, 2012. So it's a loaded question, Tom, but the best way to get started is not investing, flipping. And the really best way to get started is by going to card shows, just buying cards from the dollar boxes and flipping them. Because these dealers will give you cards for like $1, and you can go and find ones for $5, $10, $20, flip them on eBay, auction them on Facebook, auction them on eBay, wherever. And that is the best way to get started. To just prove to yourself, like, okay, like sports cards is actually a viable business. So long story short, in the beginning, flip, don't invest. Then when you make a lot of money, invest. um, and then Aiden, let me go to your question. All right. All right, Aiden, I'm going to tell you something that might sound rude, or it might sound like I don't like your mom, but I like your mom. So how can I convince my mom that I could actually make money? All right, Aiden, I'm going to give you a little story about my life, and hopefully it relates to yours. So 2015, August, I bought my first sports card. I had a friend from the other town from the other high school in my town that was buying and selling sports cards. He taught me how to do it, and I had $4,000 saved up from delivering pizza. I was 17 years old, and I bought my first sports card. The first sports card I ever bought was Steven Matz. Steven Matz was a rookie for the New York Mets. He was a very big prospect at the time. The card cost $500. I'm not saying you need to buy a card that's worth that much. And I remember I told my parents about it, my mom and my dad. And they were both like, don't waste your money. You're an idiot. You're going to get scammed, blah, 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 right? Probably exactly what your mom is saying, right? Just focus on school. Don't waste your time. I've heard it all before. But Aiden, I will challenge you with this. I don't know how young you are. You sound like you're young. But I'll give you a school example, and your mom might get pissed at me for saying this, but it's okay. If you were in school, now I'm assuming, like Aiden, I'm assuming your goal is to start a business, be wealthy, make a lot of money, have fun while doing it, right? I don't know what your mom does for work, but I'm just assuming your mom has a 9 to 5 job. I'm just assuming. I don't know. Now, if you were in school and you were in middle school or high school, and let's say you had a math question, right? You had a question about algebra. Would you go to your history teacher to ask a math question? No. You would go to your math teacher to ask a math question, right? That makes perfect sense, right? If you have a math question, you go to your math teacher. Now, if your mom is not where you want to financially be one day, I love my parents to death, but both my parents were 9 to 5 jobs, worked for the government, nothing against them, but they were not where I financially wanted to be one day. So why would I ever take advice from someone who is not where I want to financially be? To give you a good example, when our sales team sells people into our program, so many times people will say, oh, I want to ask my friend, I want to ask my wife. But why would you ask your friend or your wife or your husband, aunt, uncle if they're not where you want to financially be? It's like taking advice from a history teacher on math, right? It doesn't make any sense. Aiden, I know you're watching this. How old are you right now? Like, give me the situation. Like, how old are you? Like, what does your mom do? Like, what are your goals? Like, type it out real quick in the chat. But that's what I would say. And it's crazy because so many times people ask these questions to people that should not be giving you answers to. And I can't, like, you have to remember, like, most people, not all, but most people live normal lives. So when I say normal lives, right, they go to high school, they go to college, they take out a student loan, they get out of college, they work a job in a cubicle, they're paying off this loan. Just about when they're done paying off this loan, now they get married and have kids and they have a mortgage. And that's what's called the rat race, right? You're always paying off alone. You always feel like you're behind. It's never enough money. The bills are always stressful, right? That's why they call it the rat race. And the reason it's designed like that is because companies want you to work as hard as possible, right? The people that develop this system are the people in charge and the people that make a lot of money, right? It's designed like that. If you want to get out of that, you have to do not normal things, right? If you do normal things, like go to college, get a job, So, like, all those normal things you're going to do will lead to a normal life. If you want to do not normal things, or if you want to live a not normal life, like travel and own your own business and all these nice fancy things, you have to take not normal measures. Maybe by learning sports cards or learning real estate or whatever, right? You have to invest in yourself. And this goes back to the education system. So, like, Aiden, I'm throwing a lot at you right now because I know you're 14 years old, but bear with me. So, college, you're smart enough to understand this, I'm sure. College is going to cost you, and this is just my opinion, okay? I'm not trying to be your dad here. This is just like what has helped me out in life. So, college might cost you 50, 60, $70,000. Maybe you have to take out a loan. Maybe your parents are fortunate and can pay for it, right? Now, what I would say instead of going to college, if you really want to become rich, or you want to become rich and own your own business beyond sports cards, right? You want to own a business of 20, 30, 40, 50 employees and make so much money you don't even know what to do with it. You have to start a business. And in school, they don't teach you how to start a business, right? They don't teach you what we're doing right now, this content stuff and how to market and sell people and all this stuff. So it's crazy that the world of coaching programs, right? Aiden and I own a coaching program that teaches people how to do this stuff. And, we have programs that range from a few $100s to a few $1,000s and even more. And it's crazy that people will be like, "Oh my god, this coaching program's $5,000. This is fucking crazy. This is a scam because it's $5,000." But that same person went to college, invested 50, 60, 80, 100, $200,000, whatever it is, to get out of college and, work and make 50 grand. And it's crazy because most classes in college, most, not all, most are not beneficial to your life. Like, I went to college. I can't tell you how many classes I took that did not help me out at all. At all. They're like Dance in Europe, expository writing, all these bullshit business classes they make you take, like management, and it's just I own a company with 30 employees now. None of it applies to the real world. And I went to a prestigious business school, what someone would say is prestigious. So, Aiden, what I would say is if you want to live a not normal life, take advice from people that live a not normal life. And take advice from people, seek mentorship, and reach out to people that are where you want to be in life. That's what I would say, Aiden. And it starts with sports cards, right? That's a great foundation. That's where I started buying and selling sports cards. It taught me a lot about negotiating, business, entrepreneurship, all that stuff. So that's my motivational speech for you, Aiden. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. We got some more questions here. So, um, Jared says, when purchasing off of eBay, how do you make so your purchases from long distances without getting scammed? Yeah, so there's two ways to do it. Either you pay through PayPal or Venmo, and when you pay, make sure you pay through goods and services, and in the notes, put exactly what you're buying. Okay, very simple. And if you get scammed, they'll give you your money back as long as you have the proof. So yeah, just make sure you don't pay through PayPal, friends and family. Yeah, Aiden, shoot me a message. Let me know. Show this. You could either show this live to your mom, or this be uploaded to YouTube next week, and you could show her. She might get pissed at you though. My mom did when I said this to her. So good luck, Aiden. Um. So all right, Steven says this is in depth. Steven, best 10 cards to collect from 2018 to present, non autographed, top 4 hockey players. I have one of the best 1984 Donruss Mattingly's and an old screw down. Many card show graders won't take out and grade it. Many say it is the best Mattingly rookie card. Uh, and then you're asking me about what to do with it. Yeah, Steven, you got to take that out of the screw down and get it graded if it's really that great. So that's my answer to you. Uh, the best 10 cards to collect from 2018 to present. Um, the only safe thing to collect and like hold long term would be vintage. New guys are none of it's safe. So like just your classic vintage cards like 1955 Koufaxes, and I love the 80s stuff that's graded as 10s like 1986 Tops Traded like Bo Jackson, or is it 84 or 86? I forget. Um, but yeah, that's what I would say about the top stuff to collect. Um, and then let's see what we got here. Brian says, "Hi, I'm Brian. Huge fan of yours. I'm unfortunately disabled because of a life-changing football injury that happened on August 23rd, 1989, before my 17th birthday. I'm sorry to hear that, Brian. I suffered a traumatic brain injury and was in a coma for 5 weeks. While I was in a coma, I unfortunately suffered a stroke. Miraculously, I woke up, but I was paralyzed on my entire right side and lost half of my vision. I'm 51 now. It's been a very difficult journey, but thanks to my very supportive family and several years of intense neurological rehabilitation, I'm walking with Olympia now. Well, congratulations on that. I live in Chandler, Arizona. I used to live in Scottsdale, so right next door, in an assisted apartment with a roommate. His name is Tyler. He has Down syndrome. We're both sports nuts. My favorite sport is NBA basketball. My favorite team is the Phoenix Suns. I'm a big Phoenix Suns fan, and Dan majorly visited me in the hospital after I woke up from my coma for my 17th birthday. I don't know who that is. I should probably know, but I don't. Dan gave me one of his 1988 Seoul Olympic jerseys he wore in the Olympics. I'm gonna look who that is. Oh, because I don't know. Oh, he's a coach. That's why I know his name. He's a coach now. Uh, Former coach. Yeah, Dan. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Majorly. I guess he used to be a player for the Suns. Um, would you consider donating any auto rookie cards or unopened packs to me? We're both unable to work. Please contact me. Phone number. Thanks for your time. Yeah, I will. Brian, shoot me a message on Instagram. I don't have any unopened packs, so can't do that. But I do have some cards you might like of like Devin Booker and guys like that. I'm more than happy to send you a bunch of stuff for free. Just send me a message on Instagram and send me your address. I'll send you some good stuff you'll like. Don't worry, I got some good stuff for you, Brian. But all right, cool. So those are all the questions. Some other things. Just some other stuff that's just random on the top of my head. A few things. The Olympics. So like, actually, it's funny because the Olympics really have like skyrocketed some of the prices of these cards, like Wembanyama. He's went up a lot, and I don't know like if Wembanyama's going up because they got Chris Paul or because he's playing well in the Olympics. I don't know. But they've really affected its value. Like a bunch of the Wembanyama I buy, I should probably sell it, but I haven't yet. I've made like 30-40% on my money. I mean, I haven't sold any of it yet, so I haven't really made the money. But hypothetically, I like to tell myself I have made the money. So, yeah, the Olympics always has a big effect on some of these athletes. Um, Another thing, I think I brought this up in the last podcast, but I'll bring it up again in this one. Fanatics Fest is on August 16th to 18th. We're setting up there. It should be a lot of fun. It's in the Javits Center, which is in New York City. It's a big convention center in downtown in Manhattan. And Michael Rubin's throwing this thing where essentially people are like, it's like sports Comic Con. So it's like there's tons of athletes signing there. Like it's actually pretty fucking crazy. Like honestly, like I don't know. I mean, Michael Rubin obviously is pretty well connected, but like some of the guests are just insane. So like it's not cheap to get in. It's like $70 for a general ticket. Like Jeter, Brady, Abdul-Jabbar, Durant, Eli, Peyton, Travis Scott is there, Jake Paul, Henrik Lundqvist. Ooh, I'm a big Ranger fan. Mike Tyson. All these guys are signing. So the event's gonna be huge. Quavo. Is Quavo signing? Hulk Hogan. So Livy Dunn. Ooh, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing her in person. So yeah, it's gonna be a fucking huge event. Like huge, huge. It should be really big. Even Archie Manning is doing autographs. Wow. I've never seen Archie Manning do autographs. Matt Rempe, player for the Rangers. Roger Goodell is speaking there. Wow. And Adam Silver and Robert Kraft. Holy shit. Jesus. Who's not going? Wow. Well, it's going to be a huge event. It's going to be, walking around. There's a bunch of different like booths set up, like Lids hats and Fanatics and sports card stuff and sports companies. And then also, it like 20% of the show is actually sports cards. So I don't know where we're setting up, either by the sponsor side or the sports card side. But it should be a lot of fun. We're setting up there, talk about what we do, helping people make money with sports cards. So it should be a lot of fun. Wow, it's a lot of big ones. And then some things we're messing around with vintage cards. So this is a good way to make money with vintage cards. So check this out. So what I've discovered is a lot of these cards from the 80s and 90s graded as 10s. So like a lot of these cards from the 80s, like a Bo Jackson rookie, right? The card's worth like $5 maybe, but graded at 10, it's worth $400, $500, $600. So what I've discovered, what I've been looking at is these vintage cards that are graded at 10, over time, they just go up in value. Over time. They have their peaks and valleys, but they just go up over time. So I'm messing around with the idea of buying these cards while they're at their floor and just selling them at their peak, because they only go up. They go up or they go like this, right? They go like this, but they just trend upwards. Aiden, yeah, I am posting this on YouTube next week, probably, or in like 4 to 5 days. You'll see it. It's episode 7. So yeah, the content schedule I forget when we post podcasts. But yeah, so I'm messing around with that now. What's cool? So like this is the problem. This is what's cool. So like with vintage cards from like the 50s and 60s and 40s, these cards will sell. Like you could have a PSA 3 Sandy Koufax rookie that sells for $600. You could have one that sells for $800. The reason is because the coloring and the condition matters a lot with these vintage cards. But with these cards that are like 1970s, 1980 or 1980s and 90s, they all look the same and they're all graded a 10. So like it takes out that factor of like the coloring and like what the card actually looks like because they're all graded 10s and they all look good. So like you could buy these cards while they're at their valleys and sell at their peaks. So like an example I was looking at before, like a 1998 Topps Peyton Manning PSA 10. Very common card. Right now it's trending downwards. Over time, this card only goes up, right? Peyton Manning is only going to go up over time. And right now, the last sale of this card is $385. You can probably get this card for $340, $350 on eBay if you talk to someone and take them off eBay. And you just wait till, it jumps back up to 420, 430, which is what it was doing a few months ago, and just sell it. Like, ask yourself, you buy a Peyton Manning 1998 Topps PSA 10 at like its low point and you get it even cheaper, it's only going to go up at time. You can flip it in 3 weeks, maybe 3 months, but it's just a good idea. It's a good investment. So I'm messing around with that. I think it'll be a lot of fun because I've always thought about like how do I actually make money with vintage cards because it's not easy, but I think I finally found a way. Um, so that's really it. And last thing I'll say, I'll leave you guys off with like because you guys are always asking like what should I buy? Well, that's one thing, and then the other thing is baseball. So baseball is always interesting right now because baseball is what is baseball? Baseball is like right now it's very low, and a lot of these guys will jump up when the playoffs come around. So what you could do is buy low right now, and if they play well in the playoffs, sell it, make money. Or if not, you could just hold it in December, January, and you'll make money then. So you could buy a bunch of baseball now; it's cheap, get it graded, and buy guys who you think might play well in the playoffs, like I don't know, Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, Aaron Judge, guys like that. And it's win-win. Maybe you make money on it in the playoffs. Maybe you have to hold it a little bit longer. You get the cards graded. You're just putting yourself in a good position for the card to appreciate while it's at the grading company. Whew, that was a lot. So that's all I really got for you guys. That is episode 7. I got to go on with my day. If you guys ever have any questions, let me know. Shoot me a message on Instagram, YouTube, wherever. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see all you guys in the next one, which will be in a few days.